On July 27, 2019, Aqua and Nyhrox would win the Fortnite Duo World Cup Finals, earning $3 million and cementing themselves in Fortnite history forever. But nobody seems to remember just how close the tournament actually was. This is the story of the greatest comeback in Fortnite history. Everything began just a few months prior to the qualifiers. Aqua was grinding the game and had just made his first earnings in the Blackheart Cup. And the same was for Nyhrox in the Scallywag Cup. But it was just a few days later when Epic would make the announcement that would change their lives forever. On March 25th, they would announce the $40 million Fortnite World Cup, bringing together the best players from every region to compete for their chance at life-changing money. However, this wasn't just solos but also duos, so they both needed to find a teammate. Yet this was much easier said than done. After testing out a bunch of other players, neither of them had really found the right person to fit their playstyles. But then, just a few weeks before everything began, Aqua would receive a DM from Nyhrox asking him if he wanted to play. Both of them had seen each other placing well on the leaderboards recently, so since both of them had similar placements, they decided to try things out. However, there was just one massive problem. They didn't even speak the same language. Aqua, growing up in Austria, mostly spoke German, and Nyhrox, who was from Norway, spoke Norwegian and English. At the time, Aqua knew very little English, but regardless, they decided to still play together, so he needed to learn fast. They started putting in a crazy amount of time into the game, and since Aqua was homeschooled, this made that much easier. After playing a bunch of scrims, to their shock, they worked extremely well together, with Aqua being able to make the right calls and Nyhrox being right there to back him up. Even though it had only been a few weeks, Aqua's English had improved a lot. Up until this point though, there were no tournaments to really see how well they worked together, so there was still some uncertainty on how they do. However, all of those worries would be washed away when the World Cup warm-up occurred and they placed 8th. This was extremely promising, so with those qualifiers finally here, we were about to see if they had what it took to qualify. In the first week of duos, they performed pretty well, getting 64th. However, this was still very far from what they needed to go through to the finals in New York. This was just the first week though, so it meant they had plenty of time to come up with a better game plan to make it all the way through. So when week 4 duos came around, they were ready to give it their all. Aqua and Nyhrox managed to pull it off, ending in 3rd place, solidifying their spot to the grand finals to compete for millions of dollars. Qualifying this early was very important because this now gave them almost 3 whole months to prepare for the biggest moment of their lives. Before they even knew it, they were in New York, about to play on the biggest stage in Fortnite history. Going into it, their game plan was to land near Happy Hamlet and play for the ballers there. This was a pretty good strategy, but going up against some of the favorites like Mr. Savage, Benji Fishy, Saf and Zate, it would be much easier said than done. And when the day came to play, this is where the nerves would really start kicking in. By the way, only 10% of you watching are actually subscribed, so double check that you are. And keep in mind, these are teenagers playing in front of millions of people all across the world. With that being said though, it only really affected Nyhrox, who you can tell was feeling the pressure. Aqua on the other hand was like a robot, only focused on one thing. In fact, he was so locked in, he didn't even hear the question when he was being interviewed and answered with this.
Aqua, what do you think makes this the perfect match for you guys?
Yeah, we're gonna win.
Fantastic.
Everything seemed to be falling in line. Aqua was definitely the star player of this team, knowing how and when to do everything in order to make the most out of their situation. And even Nyhrox would admit this during a slightly awkward interview moment.
What is it about this duo, this pairing here, that you think has made it all the way to the finals for you?
It's the skill of Aqua that's made it. He's really good in every single aspect of the game, and that's probably why we succeed that much.
With the interviews out of the way, time finally came to play, and seemingly out of nowhere, all their nerves were gone. It was just like they were playing any other normal tournament at their home. But this was no normal tournament. It was time for them to make history. But at first, it wasn't looking so good. First game, they had everything they needed: 2 ballers, max shockwaves, and max shadow bombs. They didn't do enough damage early on, meaning they were below the threshold and about to start taking damage. This resulted in them leaving their base to try and fight, but ultimately they would go down. This was fine though, there were still 5 matches remaining, and that's exactly what Aqua was thinking. However, Nyhrox started to get a bit anxious. Because they went down so early on, he wanted to completely change their game plan. However, Aqua knew what they came up with was good, and after some convincing, they decided to go on with their strategies. This time they were able to do a little bit better and make it to the end game, eventually going down in 12th with 2 eliminations. This wasn't wasn't the best game, however, it was a start. They just needed to keep up this momentum going into match number 3. But sadly, this one was looking more like their first game, going down in 31st with only 1 kill. We were now halfway through the tournament, and it was not looking good for them. Because of this point format, they only had 6 points, and first was Saf and Zayt with 38. You may be thinking that this isn't that big of a margin, but you need to remember how little points you used to get back in the day. Literally winning a game against the best players in the world only got you 10 placement points. And at this point, they were so far down on the leaderboard, the broadcast didn't even show them. But it was safe to say they were around 30th place. And this was very hard on Nyhrox. He was so disappointed in their performance so far that he genuinely wanted to quit and stop playing. Aqua though still had hope. He told Nyhrox that he shouldn't let this affect him because this will make him play worse in the next game. After calming Nyhrox down, they took some time to refine their strategy even more. But before they knew it, Game 4 was beginning, and if they ever wanted to finish even close to the top of the leaderboard, they needed to make a change now, and this was going to be a game to remember.
Aqua and Nyhrox are holding up the high ground here as well, and that's a scary duo. So many solos remain right now, but there are still several duos in the game here, Golden.
And the scariest duo is going to be up above. If they can get a few more eliminations, a few more points, that will jettison them up the leaderboard.
Nyhrox now owning from the high ground, putting that pressure down. They're the only duo standing, Golden Boy.
This is their game to win. The cooler duo. Is this going to happen? Nyhrox takes out Falconer down low, and he's wrestling with everyone. But Nyhrox is out. Oh no! He does manage to get the elimination, and in the storm, he gets the victory royale. 7 eliminations for the duo. A big, big win.
Aqua and Nyhrox managed to pull off the win in Game 4, bumping them all the way up into 10th place. They were feeling on top of the world, but little did they know this was just the start. Riding off the high of that match, going into the 5th one, Nyhrox would tell Aqua, let's just get back-to-back wins. And if they were able to pull it off, it would create one of the most iconic moments in gaming history. So with their adrenaline and excitement at an all-time high, we were about to see if they could actually pull it off.
Aqua and Nyhrox are winners from last game, already back on height. Still Aqua and Nyhrox, they have absolute ownership of everything underneath them, so long as they stay on top of the material count he owns. He can make his way on through without challenge.
Skype trying to challenge for high ground and gets absolutely beamed.
Could they get another victory royale? Currently at 5 eliminations this game. So punishing from above. You have that high ground advantage. You have the shots on Wolfies. Pressure coming on in. They drop down low. The tags go. Oh my gosh. There it is. A 17-point performance from Aqua and Nyhrox as they win it again.
They managed to do it, getting back-to-back wins. This meant in just 2 games, they were able to go all the way from 30th place to now being in 2nd, only 3 points behind first, who was still Saf and Zayt. With only 1 game left, the leaderboard was extremely close, meaning there were a bunch of other teams who could possibly overtake everyone if they had just one good last game. All of the pressure that they were feeling before was nothing to what they felt now. This was the only opportunity they will ever have to pull something like this off. So jumping into Game 6, we were about to see if they could actually make history.
Meanwhile, Aqua and Nyhrox, the back-to-back winners, looking to pick up their 3rd victory royale. Catches an opponent inside. Locks, follow through, take the wall, the shots through, and the back-to-back healing may happen. Still applying pressure, and there it is.
And they could somehow do this. They actually are in an incredible position to win another game, and there they just eliminated Ronaldo. You see Aqua weak, Nyhrox weak. Players dropping another shockwave, using it all the way ahead of the zone. It could be a game-saving play on the bottom right of your screen. Aqua's all by himself.
Everybody on the board right now still in huge contention.
They were in a very similar situation earlier on. Shots still coming on through. Aqua with 1, but he goes down.
In the last game of the Duo World Cup Finals, Aqua and Nyhrox would get a 6-kill 8th, but nobody knew if this was actually enough to overtake first place and win. Everyone was on the edge of their seats to find out who had just become a millionaire, and eventually the announcement was made.
The results are in. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to the first ever Fortnite World Champions, Aqua and Nyhrox!
It was official, Nyhrox and Aqua were crowned the Duo World Cup champions, winning by 4 points, earning themselves $1.5 million each. changing their lives forever. But what exactly happened to each of them afterwards? Well, I'm sure most of you know what happened to Aqua, since he went on to drop Nyhrox right after the World Cup, then win the Season X Trio FNCS, and win Chapter 3 Season 2's Duo FNCS. On top of that, he's come top 4 in 3 other grand finals. However, he has had a massive problem throughout his entire career. Since he played the game so often, he started getting extreme pain in his hand and wrist, and after getting it looked at, it turns out he had tendonitis. This meant he would frequently have to take breaks, and that's why we've seen him not play for an entire season and then come back multiple times. But despite this, somehow he still managed to stay on top, so far earning a whopping $2.2 million from the game, making him the second highest earned Fortnite player ever. Now, he did actually make an official quitting tweet back in September of 2023, but recently with the release of Chapter 5 Season 3, he deleted the tweet and had announced he is actually coming back to play the game with Noah Riley. Aqua had an immensely successful career after winning, but the same can't be said for Nyhrox. Since winning the World Cup, he only managed to make 2 other grand finals, not placing well in either of them. Now, unlike most players who see a decrease in placements over time, Nyhrox never actually quit the game, only taking small breaks. And he actually still plays almost every tournament, streaming them all live on Twitch. Despite this though, he actually hasn't earned any money off of the game since March of 2022, well over 2 years ago. But considering he's already made almost $1.6 million from it, he doesn't really need to have consistent placements. That was the story of Fortnite's greatest comeback, so if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out these videos here. Have an amazing rest of your days. Peace out.